Live from Sin City, Las Vegas. This is your motivational, sensational, inspirational, educational, aspirational, international, keenly awaited, daily created, highly anticipated edition of the afternoon swing trading floor with your humble host, Jeremy Alexander Newsom, with another daily dose of mentally delicious brain food, reminding each of you to love life, live life, and trade it. Amity Jones is in the building. Oh, snap. I love it. My boy Win trading with his mom. Bill is in the building. Ivo, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. Yates, Johnny Guarco, thanks for holding it down. What a free week it's been. I love open house. This is what we do pretty much every single day. We talk trading, we talk markets, we review charts, we win together, we lose together. We build empires and wealth together. It's amazing how much money is out there. This was actually a mind-blowing conversation I had with someone yesterday. No, was it yesterday? Sorry. Is today Tuesday? Sunday? My days have started to blend together. Here's a conversation I had with a gentleman who was asking just like how much retail money is out there. I was like, well, you know, when you say retail money, like what do you mean exactly? It's like regular people. I was like, oh, okay, well, a lot more than you would anticipate. I told him, let's take us, just you and me. Let's take the average of us. So his name was Craig. He was 47. He had, I think it was like $208,000 in an IRA, you know, $50,000 in savings and some equity in his house and so on and so forth. And I was like, all right, so let's just say you have $300,000 of access to capital, more or less, right? Like that's how much you have access to, give or take. I was like, how many people across the entire globe do you think fall into this category? Have around 300,000. If you guys had to guess a number, what number would you guess? I mean, again, I was just guessing. I haven't looked up the stats, but Win says 10% of the world, because we're talking about the entire world. So 10% of the entire world. So if the entire world is 7 billion, so it's 700 million. Let's say 300 million to make it a little bit smaller. 300 million. So just 300 million people, which is like the population of the US approximately, have access to $300,000 of capital. If you do that number on a calculator, if you don't turn the calculator sideways, it's 9 to the 13th power. So if you turn it sideways, that is $90 trillion. 90 trillion. And that's just retail. That's just individual people. 90 trillion. Type in a 3 if that was a bigger number than you thought it was going to be. And that's only 300 million people. I mean, because again, you got to think, I'm talking about the whole world, all the developing nations, everyone. I mean, that's quite large. So when you're talking about how much money is out there in the markets, it is a very, very large number. And then, of course, if you start breaking it down to even smaller bits, and I do remember saying this when Robinhood came out on the market, I thought to myself, well, how many people, you know, if Robinhood has 100 million users, which is a lot more now, let's say they have 100 million users and each one of those users puts in only $20 US per month to buy something. I mean, 20 times 100 million users. That number also is quite large. So now we're talking 2 to the 17th power or 2 billion. So that's monthly, right? That's every single month it just floods into the market. That's just Robinhood. So yeah, fascinating how much currency is out there. And the reason I was bringing that up to just start the afternoon with is that's what we're all doing. Every single one of us here, we're interacting with the markets on a daily basis, realizing that you do not have to make money every day to make money every month. You do not have to take a day trade every single day to consider yourself a full-time trader or to consider yourself a full-time day trader. Waiting is the most electrifying thing you can do, and usually the most profitable. And if you were like me, if you were looking at the individual markets, you probably thought that the broader markets were doing something crazy, but they weren't. Like the Qs and the SPY were just like normal days, but there was all kinds of other stocks that were moving like bananas. So we're going to go ahead and look at that, review everything. And today on the market really was kind of like a nothing burger, just a small little candle hanging out. Again, I kind of think that we're going to start correcting more in time than price, where we trade sideways and then we eventually go up. I think that's very likely to happen at some stage. And then the SPY, I mean, again, really almost a nothing day, just or whatever. And then the IWM, a little bit of a hammer candle. And then here's your Dow Jones. Dow Jones had a little bit of a continuation higher because of Caterpillar and Boeing both moved up nicely, and Apple had a little bit of a bullish day. So again, overall trend still looks a little bit bullish, and we're going to go look at some individual stocks that were requested by a lot of you. The first on the list is Twilio. And Twilio, we talked about this one yesterday. I mentioned that this is probably most likely a flag pattern on the weekly chart. So far, it's only Tuesday, and we have an inside candle here. So if we start getting some type of nice movement out of this flag pattern, I think the 50 EMA, which is 75.60, will be a decent target. Now, granted, that might only happen over earnings, which is also perfectly fine. So we'll find out if that does occur or not, but be watching Twilio because today is a bearish candle and it closed above the 10 EMA, which means this is the first bear candle that closes above the 10 EMA. We had a bear candle here. That trade didn't really work. I actually did take that one. Lost on that trade, very small. And then you had two bull candles. So these candles closed below the 10, didn't get triggered into those. So I know we only have like a week until earnings. Maybe a day trade is a possibility or a quick little pop if this thing moves. But that's pretty much my thoughts on Twilio. No swing trade for me. No trade, no position. Just going to kind of keep waiting it out and see what happens. RMBS, Rambus, which I thought that was like a geometrical shape from geometry. But I think that's a rhombus. Rhombus, something like that. Strong gap down today. Derek says, with the 10 exponential moving average, are you trading stocks or options? I do both, Derek, but I do primarily trade stocks, and I use options as hedging tools. That's my primary methodology. Yeah. Valid question. Miss Mariera says a rhombid. Oh, okay. That's the name. Got it. All right, sweet. So this was a cool gap. I mean, look how many people were trapped on this thing. You actually had a triangle inside of a rhombus, and we gapped down. Let's just zoom into a 3-minute chart to just see how this moved intraday. And you got the initial really, really fast selling. Obviously, you got the decently sized retest. This failure that happened here was not only the open of the day, but it was also the 100 on the daily chart, the 100 simple. I did not day trade this or watch this today, but yeah, had some very, very interesting movement. But now you have a really, really cool candle to watch. Now we have this interaction here with the long terms. So if I had to kind of draw out what I think is going to happen on Rambus, we probably have a little bit of a pop up into here, pull back down and do something like this. I think that makes a lot of sense. Luke says, do you ever find your triangles breaking into reliable channels once they break? I'm sure I don't have an exact example right now off the top of my head, but yeah, it makes perfect sense. Totally. Craig says that looks like an S curve. Yes, it will be. That is absolutely correct. That is the very, very natural pattern of the markets right there, that S curve. So that's what I would expect to happen on ticker symbol RMBS for those watching it, trading it, or analyzing it in the near future. Virgin Galactic came out. I had a really fun loss on Virgin Galactic. I got in here after the gap up, and I held, and I exited here for an R loss. When I say I held, you know, this candle was, I thought, perfect, and we just did not continue to go higher. So Virgin Galactic, there was a day where I thought it was bullish, and then it went back to doing absolutely nothing. This number, I mean, if it makes you guys feel better, we collectively as a group, all of us together here, make more money than Virgin Galactic. Their reported revenue was 1.8 million. 1.8 million. And when they're selling a ticket at $250,000, that's like 7 people. I mean, that's it's big, you know, it's big, but it's very, very, like, what, last quarter was 392,000. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing it up because in order to have a publicly traded company, you were supposed to have $10 million of revenue per year minimum, right? Minimum. So when you factor that in, Yates says they have a $1 billion market cap. Now, I'm sure all of you already know this, but just in case, market cap stands for market capitalization, which is how big the company is overall. You take the stock price, the amount of shares, multiply those two together, and you get the market cap. So if I go into Virgin Galactic and you pop over here, you see where it says market cap 1 billion. So that's like me saying I'm worth $1 billion, which I'm not. One day I will be. But I only made $392,000 last year. So that makes this number here, price to sales, 465. What does that number mean? Well, this number means if you bought Virgin Galactic, all right? So let's say, who wants to buy Virgin Galactic in cash? Who's doing this transaction? All right, Andrew's doing this transaction. Andrew, Corey, and Brian are getting together, and they're going to buy Virgin Galactic. So they're going to buy it. What that means is, with the amount of sales that are coming in right now, it would only take 465 years to get your money back. That's what price to sales means. Type it in 2 if you learned something new. Because, I mean, if you're doing a good transaction, right, you want to buy something, let's say, I don't know, it's a house, and you buy your house, it's like, how long until the money you make from your house pays you back what you just spent on it? So let's type in, I don't know, we'll just type in the next company really quick, Alibaba. So Alibaba, right, is a little bit of a different number. They have a market capitalization of 241 billion, which is large, by the way, but their sales is 121 billion. So if Amanda and Hilton and Jay went out and bought Alibaba, it would only take them 2 years to make their earnings back on the sales income. So David, the answer is the lower the number, the better. Right? You want to be able to receive your, return faster on anything. So the smaller that number, the better it is. Anyway, fun little fact. Saying all that to say, Virgin Galactic is gapping down because they're making no money, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, they're gapping down, and no. Goodbye. All right, Alibaba. Now, Alibaba team has had some really, really good edge. What do I mean by edge? Edge means the stock is moving nicely and it has great opportunity for both day trades and or swing trades. And this has happened once Alibaba broke above the 100, 200 simple moving average over there. I do think the low for China is in, personally. And I do believe we're going to have a little bit of a fight here for a second at the 100 simple moving average, which is on the weekly chart. Once/if Alibaba breaks that level, and that could take 2-3 weeks, I think we eventually make our way to 125. And then if and when we break above there, I think that would be a very large inverted head and shoulders pattern. And that eventually goes a little bit higher. Because Alibaba, I mean, just from a price, we just looked at price to sales, and it's pretty remarkable. It was a $300 stock, and now we're talking, it's back at its 2015 levels, IPO levels. Like, these are good areas to be just watching it. I'm not saying it has to go higher. I am saying from a fundamental perspective, and I get it that people question China a lot. But Bob is one of those companies I don't think you're going to have to question that much because it's huge. It is quite large. So anyway, saying all that to say, I'm going to be watching this one pretty closely and seeing what it does over earnings. Nice little double bottom looking thing there and good resistance. So this right here could be a really good little chunk of money for us to make. So 104 to 124. That's something to be watching for the next few days or weeks. My boy Craig Levine says corporate investors like Alibaba. Yeah, they do. They do. Roblox. I bought 10 more shares of Roblox today. This is just a stock that I figure I'll buy nice and low, hold it, and hold it until it goes higher, probably. If my kids keep playing Roblox and your kids keep playing Roblox, then it's probably going to work out okay long term. Now, that being the case, from an earnings perspective, just to let you all know what I think could happen on earnings. If Roblox opens below 37, there's going to be a hellacious amount of people trapped, and that'll be a really good bear trade, probably down into 31 or 32. If I zoom out, you'll see a relatively large triangle kind of looking thing on Roblox and something like that. So that's continuing to build. I do have covered calls on Roblox at 55. There's not a lot of premium there for August, but there actually is premium for September if you have shares. So I do have $55 August covered call for Roblox, which I don't expect to get called away there. But if Roblox does have a really good gap up on earnings somehow, then that'd be really cool. But this is a stock that I think if you buy slow enough, low enough, and long-term enough, I think you're going to end up winning on this one. And it's not very expensive. So buy low, sell high. And of course, if you're just an active trader and you want to actively be in and out of this thing, this is at a support and the risk reward's good, right? Your risk is below 37. If it breaks there, get out. Otherwise, play it higher. Palantir moved up again today, kind of continuing the overall trend. Nothing else to see on Palantir. You had a new white soldier 3 days ago, right here. A new white soldier is a white candle that opens and closes above the black candle's close. And then you had a continuation of that trade here. Today, we just kind of slowly creeped up, and that's pretty much it on Palantir. There's a few traders out there that are in this position that have some covered calls in this general vicinity, that they have no, fear, remorse, or trepidation about getting called away for a profit. Yeah, that was a nice bullish gap and go back on the 28th of July on Palantir. Open Door Technologies. Craig, you know a little bit about this company. So Open Door Technologies is trying to come back. This is one that Kathy Woods was essentially all over. Said it was the greatest company in the world back here at 35. And now it's at 5. So it's low. It has pulled back quite substantially. And so now we get to just figure out, what is it going to do? Is it going to kind of continue? Because one thing I can say is the volume is starting to pick up on this. You can kind of see the overall trend. Volume's going higher, stock is going lower, volume is increasing, and the price of the stock is really quite reasonable. From it's $5 a share. Let's go look at the market capitalization if we can. So 3 billion, and its price to sales is 0.22. So I'd have to look into it. I'd have to look into some of the numbers. If sales are actually 13 billion and the market cap is only 3 billion, that's a very good number, right? That means that you're, in 2 months, you'd make your money back. So I'd have to look into it a little bit, but that does not, it looks really quite nice, honestly. So saying all that to say, the daily chart, let me pop into the daily chart. Sorry about that. Earnings is right around the corner. So that'll be a big one. What's going to come out on earnings? The last earnings, they thought they're going to have 2 billion. They had 3.1 billion earnings per share. They thought they were going to lose 61 cents. They only lost 16 cents. Yeah. So their revenue keeps increasing. Yeah, the revenue is okay. Revenue's all right. So this is going to be a fun one to really analyze after earnings. Let me put this on the list for Thursday, and we'll come back to it. Trend is bullish. Luke says open door was looking like closed doors for a bit. Yeah, for sure. It did. It went all the way down to $1. So anyway, this is going to be a good one to watch, I think. Let's just see what happens on earnings. I don't have any position on it now. I'm gonna have to wait for earnings, and we'll see what happens. GameStop, this thing wicked me in gnarly wick in, and I'm going to get this loss back. Let me show you what I looked at when I took this trade. And I did not think that it would throw that nasty of a shadow, but it did. So this is what the trade looked like when I was setting it up, bouncing off the 100, 200. We had four or five bear candles, all with about the exact same high, kind of like placed there. So my entry was just right here. Stop loss was there. And I was expecting maybe for it to do this. And it did not. That's not what it did. So this is what it did. Boo! Hello, let's party. And as soon as that day came in, I was like, oh, well, poop. Now this was cool, right? Bull inside candle. This was yesterday on Monday. I did not get a chance to day trade GameStop today, but type in a 3 if you can see this is an inside candle, tons of compression with those long-term moving averages. Because this is a really good example of how one could have watched or analyzed this stock to hedge a position if you had a long swing trade. Not that you would have had to, but you could have. So we'll pop into a 3-minute chart, and let me go forward to market open. And I'll just kind of generally show you what ended up happening. So this is the 3-minute chart right here on GameStop, and breaking below this support, taking out that pre-market low. It just slowly kept selling off all day long. So this is the daily chart. We opened, right? We gapped down. We trapped some bulls. We took out the low of the day. We just kind of continued selling off. And long story short, I got stopped out. So what I'm going to continue to do is watch GameStop, because it does look like it might continue to go lower. And I'm going to put this on my day trade list to see if I can get that R loss back. And that's essentially it. Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can get that loss back. And most likely it'll be a bearish trade at this stage. All right, Rivian earnings just about a week away. We are in a swing trade on this one. And I like the candle. We'll see if it kind of slowly creeps higher. Most likely, I'll be taking an exit on this trade sometime next week. Earnings are Tuesday, the 8th. So if we can slowly just get a little bit of a pop, the overall trend's bullish. We took a breakout on this trade. Well, yeah, took a breakout on this trade. We got filled on this day here, which was the 26th of July. We're above the 50 EMA on a weekly. Let me show you what that looks like really quick. So here's your 50 EMA on a weekly. And so we are above that. Right now, this is an inside week. So it's only Tuesday. Moving averages still look bullish. We had a little bit of selling today, and we did get some buying. We'll see if it kind of continues higher. Right now, I'll stay in Rivian, and I'll probably exit next week, looking like probably a very small win. Okay, yesterday we talked about AVY, Avery Dennison Corporation. And we talked about this one having 2 bear candles closing above the 10. We also discussed how it was above the 100, 200. You had a really nice gap down with huge bull candles. This looking like it could be some type of flag situation building. And then here's the weekly chart. The weekly chart, you have an inside candle with a pretty nice hammer, kind of like this indecision doji right at the 100. So whoever requested this particular stock, my thoughts are on it. If it breaks above 188.65, that's the entry price, and the stop would be 181.12. You would just let that one slowly peel higher overall. Lyft. Who uses this? Pretty much no one. So Lyft, very interesting little candle. This one reacting to Uber's earnings. Uber's on this list too, so I'll just scoot Uber up so we can look at kind of both of those. Lyft is down here. And by down here, I mean pretty much all-time low areas, and it's just consolidating. It does look like an inverted head and shoulders pattern. It's an ugly one, but I'll draw it. And we did close above that neckline. Here's the monthly chart. Josh, what type of work are you in, brother? Here's the monthly. So you can see we're battling that 10 on the monthly right now. And yeah, earnings is right around the corner. So here's what's interesting. Lyft has only gapped up once recently on earnings, and it was right here, August 5th. So last year it gapped up on earnings. Every other gap was a gap down on earnings. It looks like it'll be August, right around August 5th. It's nice and low, and it does have an inverted head and shoulders pattern. If I can make an R day trading tomorrow, which I plan on it, I will use that R to buy some out of the money calls on this thing. 14 for September. Because last year we gapped up in August. You're like, Newsom, is that the only reason? It's one of two. The other thing is we do have a potential inverted head and shoulders pattern. And it's nice and low. If it gaps down, I'll lose an R. And if it gaps up, I will not. But it will gap. I think it's going to gap one direction or another. The last few have been really, really large gaps. Does that make sense? And this is if I can, I'm going to try to make an R over the next day or two and just funnel that R into this. Because again, team, I am all about, trading with my profits if I can. So here was Uber, and Uber got road smoked today. So if you come over here, Uber has a pretty interesting price to sales. Because their sales, like they have good sales, 33 billion. They have a decently sized market cap, but their income. So it's like we have sales, we do. We have sales, but still not making money. So at some point, I figure they'd have to kind of think through that a little bit more. And this will be like an Amazon story, right? If it ever actually makes money, if it actually ever becomes profitable. Had a really big move up. I mean, this was a nice run, but really everything's been straight up since May. This is a one black crow reversal candlestick pattern. Where's my notes? Give me 3 seconds. Where did that change to? One black crow, which simply means if we take out the low of really today, that we probably would have a continuation of a little bit of a selling event. I think that's a very realistic expectation on Uber. Now, if Lyft gaps up, then Uber will probably gap up a little bit. And that could be this little rise right here that I have drawn. And then ultimately, they probably both kind of go down a little bit. But if you like one black crow reversal signals, well, there you go. All right, I had a request for BITO, ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF. And somebody asked me about this because they're like, Newsom, this pays a dividend. And it does. But be very, very, very cautious on things that pay dividends. at this magnitude. Because number one, how are they making their money to pay the dividends? That's something you got to think about. And number two, this will never be able to pace the exact returns that Bitcoin makes because it has to pay a dividend. So if you want exposure to Bitcoin, you can definitely buy this. It's very recent. You can buy this. You can buy GBTC, right? Grayscale Bitcoin. Also doesn't have quite the actual general returns because there is an expense ratio with both BITO and GBTC. We heard Yates just say that his biggest position is Bitcoin. And for me personally, I just prefer buying the actual thing or having the actual bits, having the Toshis. Because you can look at both the charts and kind of clearly see that if Bitcoin makes new highs, yes, both of these will go up. But from a perspective of percentages, I don't think they're going to be able to outpace what Bitcoin's going to do. Just my opinion. And I do use Coinbase for my crypto transactions. I have for the last 7-ish years. Here's the daily time frame on Bitcoin, and the daily time frame we have the 100 simple. That's what we pulled into and bounced off of. If we close below that in the next 2 weeks, we'll go down to 26,000, and that'll present us with another new buying opportunity. But again, I think probably one of the better things you can do, all of you here can do, is just treat Bitcoin like a savings account. Take some money, use that money, throw it into Bitcoin, leave it alone, let it grow over time, hold on to it, and then it'll be more valuable over time. All right, Nike, NKE. So I've been watching Nike. I do have a position on Nike, and I bought that position, and I've been hedging it a little bit. So here's the weekly chart. So I snagged some of my shares here and here, and it is dropped, obviously, so it's lower than where I bought it. And so I've been hedging with options right now on Nike. So looking at it at the present moment, it's just kind of hanging out. Not a whole lot is happening at this exact stage. So this is good for option traders because you're able to sell calls and buy puts and just kind of get paid to be patient. I'm watching this extremely closely. This red Mr. Squiggles I drew back in May, and you can see the squigs thought that we would trade up into the 200, trade down, which we did pretty spot on, really. And this little move here that I drew a couple months ago is potentially this little move there. So I'm not obviously a fortune teller, but it, could, if we follow the pattern, continue down a little bit lower. So this is just for me a spot to make sure that you're protected, have a collar, have some type of shares, some way of protecting the downside. And then if Nike pulls into the 100 simple on a monthly chart, that'd be a spot for me to add some more and kind of lower my cost average on Nike. Because again, this is a longer term position that I'm okay to hold. Now I say longer term, I'm in it recently, AKA back over here, and I'm willing for this to be a longer term position because it's Nike, pays a small dividend, and it's not going anywhere. Wayfair. All right, Wayfair has earnings coming up, and this is going to be a really, really key spot because Wayfair is at the top of a resistance line. Type in a big letter R into the chat if you can see that. So we're here, which means this is a great spot to look for shorts. We're here. This is an awesome spot to see. Is it going to go lower? So day trades, swing trades, really quick in and outs for a short position does make sense to me up here because we were nice and high. And if you're trading the 10 EMA strategy today on the short side, you definitely caught some gainages on Wayfair. As of now, this is a bear candle closing above the 10. So again, obviously we could certainly rip higher and just trap a bunch of bears. The people who are shorting at the resistance, along with the people who made this candle. Earnings are right around the corner. And I think Wayfair, if you are an advanced options trader, probably would be a really, really good strangle. So the strangle is buying calls up here and buying puts up here. Because if Wayfair has a big gap, and normally it has a pretty decent gap size, if it has a big gap, I do think it's going to move pretty strongly because there's a bunch of people who are shorting it here thinking it's going to go lower. And then you're going to have a bunch of people trapped that way. And then if it does gap down, the bears are going to be excited. You're going to have a bunch of people who are long who are trapped. So if you are an options aficionado, that's something you can consider. Nancy, is that a ticker that you want, VRT? Or is that an acronym for something? It is a ticker. Okay. All right. So that's Wayfair. Here is Patterson UTI Energy Incorporated. Contract drilling. Dividend payer. Felix says, if you have time, can I see how you organize your list? Felix, it's nothing special, brother. This is just a list of all the stocks that people requested yesterday. And at the end of the class today, I'll take a request of all the stocks that you guys want me to look at tomorrow. So on and so forth. Yeah, man. The afternoon room is me pouring into you, making sure that all of you are profitable and enriching lives with your money and time. Makes it easy. If that's your question. So Patterson, yeah, I like a pullback. I would dig a pullback into the 200 there and there. That's the spots that I would like to buy a dip on. Ticker symbol PTEN. Snag some a little bit there, and then yes, definitely if it made it back to 12, that'd be a lot larger of a position for me. Here's the weekly chart, and you can see the weekly 100 is very, very close to the daily 100. So that would be certainly a level of which I'd be pretty comfortable either selling puts or again buying shares if we get a little bit of a pullback on ticker symbol PTN. Crocs. Woo! So Crocs is going to be very close to collapsing. Very close. I do have a collar on Crocs, and I'm probably going to get, I'm probably going to put my shares away up here at 115. I bought those shares, bought some here and bought some here off of the 200. So Crocs is very much so worth watching because of this gap down there. And when I say worth watching, I mean for like bearish positions, probably. So the weekly is the thing that's holding this bad boy up. The 100 on the weekly. The 100 on the weekly. So what I'm looking for is, I mean, you already got the compression. It's here. Some type of good gap, some type of decent movement, maybe a little bit of a retest. I'll put Crocs on the list for the next couple of days because I think it could have some good edge if it starts to really collapse. And that could be a good day trade. That could be a swing trade opportunity. It just looks like there's going to be some edge coming into this thing. And I want to be around if it starts to move. So, yep, that's pretty much it. Let's watch it. Nice compression, good gap down. It's right at a very, very strong pivot point. I'm already in a collar for August anyway. So we'll see what happens on Crocs. Stafford says, went for a walk and AMD is pretty much where it was when I left. Right on, man. We're coming up and looking at it in just a second. So GSK, big, massive, major pharmaceutical company, weekly chart hanging out, monthly chart hanging out. I don't have any position on this one that does pay a dividend, a strong dividend. GlaxoSmithKline. If I were to buy this one, it'd be at $30. But you're buying it for the dividend and holding on to it and hoping it goes up. So that's what I got on GSK. That's it. Buy it at 30, hold forever, and yawn. Lemonade, LMND, earnings just hours away. 100 simple moving average is at 26. This one could be very, very fun on earnings if it gaps up. If it gaps up above 26, this is going to be a very, very cool earnings gift, I think. If it gaps down on earnings, this will be a very fun level to watch for a day trade, the 100, 200 simple on the daily chart. So this is probably also another good strangle opportunity. $30 call options, $15 put options. If it gaps up, I would sell the calls and then repurchase them on a retest. If it gapped down, I would sell the puts for a profit and expect lemonade to probably fade off of the long terms. Just my opinion, just my thoughts, but that is the analysis that I got on ticker symbol LMND. We're in a swing trade on Okta, ticker symbol OKTA. And if this really does open like this tomorrow, I will increase my target. We got in on a swing trade down here. And yes, we have been in the trade for about a month. We're kind of pausing at the 100, but we did close above the 100. So if OKTA actually opens above this bear inside hammer tomorrow, I'll increase the target probably to like 80. Because I lost on Microchip, MCHP, and I lost on GameStop. And so we do have some profitable swing trades, but this is one I'll probably increase my target, yeah, like I said, to 80. So let's see how this opens tomorrow for those who were already in. Mariella says, why did you enter OKTA? Not special, but I'll answer the question. Very boring. 10 EMA, bear candle, close above the 10. There it is. That's it. Bear candle, closing above the 10. It was a hammer candle and bouncing off the 200 simple on the daily chart. Boom, boom, and boom. Isn't it cool to see how easy this stuff is, though? Like if the strategy's there and the system's there, your boy is going to take it. I don't do anything unique or fancy. I've been on the phone call. I've been on phones a lot this last 2 or 3 weeks, just talking to traders who might join the 9-day masterclass or whatever, part of real life trading they want to be a part of. And I tell people very frequently, I am like an offensive tackle in the NFL. I probably won't make the highlight reel. I'm not going to make ESPN. No one's going to really know my name, but I'll make $3 million a year. And I do the exact same thing over and 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 over. To make it boring, team. I mean, make it so easy that you can repeat what you're doing all the time, everywhere. Oh, that's the sweetest thing ever. Everyone should be so lucky to know your name. Thank you. You were so nice. You were so nice. Melissa said, I would not mind making $3 million a year. It's easy. It's very doable. It's 1,000 shares. Right? $30 a day. Over and over and over. I'm just look for it, like just 1,000, or you can increase it, right? 3,000 shares, 10,000 shares. But here's the truth, Melissa. If you start thinking about how you can do it, even if you're not there yet, and it's okay, perfectly cool. Ask yourself, how could I? What would it look like? What type of investing would I have to do in order to make $3 million a year? What type of trading would I have to do? How much would I have to make on every single trade? I mean, let's just do some really, really, really fast math. Let's say you're trading 260 days a year. So all we're going to do is divide 3 million by 260. Okay, that's it. So 3 mil divided by 260. Because what this does is it breaks it down into what's possible. All right, that's $11,530 a day. So your brain's going to go, well, okay, do something, calm down here. Sure. But $11,000, like, all right, really, what is that? Well, I mean, if you're trading a $5,000 risk unit, that's 2 hours a day. It's possible. Possible. Stafford says, what is your daily goal for trading? Daily goal for me is 0.25 hours. That's my goal. 0.25 Rs. And when I have really strong internet, when I'm actually trading, my R right now, Stafford is $10,000. Next year, it'll be 20. So if I can make $2,500 a day, I'm feeling pretty good. That's my goal. And if I can get more than that, fantastic. That's just like the baseline, because my baseline per month is 4 hours a month. If I don't hit 4 hours a month, the things that I will do. The punishment I will put myself under. Bear crawls. Yeah, exactly. I'll bear crawl until other people call me crazy, and then I'll do it for a few more hours. Anyway, Felix. What's up, buddy? How are you and your wife, man? It was so cool meeting you, Felix. You're awesome, brother. Win says, or eat 10 pounds of M&Ms. I still kind of want to do that. I still want to lose that challenge. Now, this is a trade that snuck by some traders. I did actually get a chance to catch Tupperware. Now, this is random, but I was doing a scan with a friend on a Tuesday. I have a little mastermind that me and my wife are in for the whole year. It's called the Conscious Creators Collective, and we have about 25 individuals in that particular group. And every Tuesday we were having a general like stock review for the summer. So anyway, this came up, this particular chart, for two reasons. Who can tell me the two reasons it came up in a scan? Random scan. Pulled up a scan. I was like, all right, cool. I used FinViz. That's all I used. It was just a random scan. It was free. There we go. Volume. It came up because of the volume scan. Volume, and ladies and gentlemen, type in a 7 if this is the first bear candle closing above the 10 EMA. That was it. Right, you guys can scan this stuff for free. I will teach you more than you would ever want to know about stocks for free. You can charge me, you can pay me for your time, you can learn for free. It doesn't bother me. I'm here to pour into you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to change the world one person at a time every single day. But here's the truth. If you click on FinViz, you go to all, right? Change from open down. That means it's going to be a down candle, AKA a bear candle. Now go find out if it's closing above the 10 EMA. Right? So if you do change from open down and you do current volume, any, and you do average volume, over 500,000, and like how many volume is it now? Like, all right, relative over 3, you get 39 tickers. And then you can go look through all these tickers. There's one right there. Look how easy that is. ABVC. Just found one. Look at that. Bear candle closing above the 10 with unusual volume. Look how simple. I mean, it's not hard, team. And it's free. It's available. You can scroll through here and just with your mind's eye kind of start catching some stocks. They're probably going to be above the 10 EMA. That was a really good gap the other day. Because you're going to know which one's above the 10 and which ones aren't. Man, that thing got beat up. EQRX, another one. Look how fun this is. Stafford says, you can save your results. Yeah, of course. Easy. Trading is so easy. Rich says, but would you take the trade on ABVC? What are the factors go into deciding whether to take the 10 EMA setup? So good question. I would not take this particular trade because the average volume is really, really, really low. So it looks like it just had like there's only 2 days where it's actually had any type of actual volume. So that's a factor. I can watch it, just see what it does. Other factors, Rich, I'm sure you know this, but I can go through other time frames and see what the trend looks like. Looks like it's just going straight down. Looks like it's a garbage company. Looks like it's a random biotech. So, Not for me. All right, no trade. Cool, all good. Yeah, volume's going. So if I go back to Tupperware, there's your 10 EMA. Right here, bear candle closing above the 10. Entry, stop, boom. Stafford says, can you screen for hammers? I don't know. Let's go find out. I wonder if I click on candlestick, scroll down to, oh, hammers. Boom. So yeah, Tupperware, it was a cool move. If you're not in it, you missed it. Let it pull back. You have missed the boat. You have missed the boat on Tupperware. All right, here's Pinterest. Pinterest has earnings and it is gapping. Where is it? Flat. Okay. Not much happening on Pinterest. Now, Pinterest is going to be cool to watch, team, because it's really, really trying hard to break above the 100 simple on a weekly chart. Look how long Pinterest is consolidated. Now, Pinterest had a huge sell-off. Huge sell-off. And then it consolidated forever. And when it was consolidating, other tech stocks were selling off. I actually think Pinterest is forming a really, really good base. And I'm not saying it's going to run to the moon again, but I do think it could go to 36. So let's watch this one, right? It's gapping very small tomorrow. And the 100 simple is kind of right in front of us. And let's just keep an eye on it for a day or two. I'll put it on the list for Thursday and we'll come back and look at Pinterest and just see what it's doing. So far, small gap, not really a day tradable. It would have been a great stock to have sold options on. AMD gapping up on earnings, so all the put sales will be worthless, and this will be a very fun stock to day trade tomorrow. It'll be nice and volatile. And here's the high, pre-market high is about 125. It is a retest gap. So I'm going to expect AMD to gap up, throw in a little bit of an upper shadow, probably go to 124 and some change, pull back a little bit, and then end with like a high wave indecision candle tomorrow of some kind. I do think it's going to be shortable at some point. I think it's going to be a decent short if you can sell it high enough tomorrow. But what's amazing, and type in a 2 if you remember me talking about the put sales just yesterday on AMD. By yesterday, I mean, yesterday. So all the put sales will be worthless. I'll buy those to close at open, and I will make about an hour and a half just from selling puts. I had all kinds of puts just because I want AMD at 100. That's all. Nothing special. I just want it at 100. I'm not going to get it at 100. So I'm going to take the money that I'm going to make from those put sales, and I'm going to buy some shares of AMD. And I do think ultimately, again, on this retest gap, that AMD will retest and probably trade back up into 140 at some point. Good gap. How are the earnings? Yeah, pretty run of the mill. Unless they can move. Yeah, so good retest gap, buy the dip. Let's see what happens on AMD. Starbucks also has earnings. I do have a small position in Starbucks. And I'm going to watch very closely over the next 2 or 3 days how we interact with these lows. Type of 7 if you can see the compression here of the 100 and the 200. Yeah. So that compression, I'll be watching, see how it breaks out. Earnings are out. It doesn't look like anything cool is happening. If it opens below 99 or something, great. Otherwise, I can just kind of keep waiting and let it do its thing and let it hang out. But yeah, I have a pyramid position in Starbucks, the very, very top of the pyramid. And right now I'm just going to wait it out and let it do its thing. Ultimately, I'll buy more at 95 and I'm okay to wait. Caterpillar just crushed earnings. I'm blown away. Caterpillar just continued going higher. Wow. So this is a gap on a monthly chart. New month. Trend is bullish, buy dips, find bullish trades to play on Caterpillar and play them. That's pretty much the analysis on Cat. Buy low, sell high, stay long. Looks like it's not going down. Norwegian Cruise Line. I do have some shares in Norwegian, and I'm about to buy some more. Here's the weekly chart and the long-term moving averages. I will buy more of Norwegian around 1750. And that is just simply off of the 100 simple. Also, it's off of an old resistance, new support. Boom, boom, boom. This was a very, very profitable stock and position for me, April, May, June, July. And now it's just kind of resting. We did gap down on earnings. This was a pretty fun little day trade on Norwegian today. For anyone who got a chance to catch it, like this little breakdown move, and then you got the really, really beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, perfect 10 EMA setup. And so there are certainly some phenomenal opportunities on Norwegian today. This candle today kind of reminds me of this candle. The last time it gapped down, had a little bit of an indecision candle. So if we pop out of here and run again, be long. But my expectation is, again, for Norwegian to eventually pull back down into 1750, where I will look to go long. I will buy shares, and I'll eventually hold those shares back up to 23. That's just my plan. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it's going to offer a very, very good risk-reward ratio. I think that this is a breakout of a channel. I think this is a retest of a channel, and I'm going to play the bounce of the channel. What if I'm wrong and the channel does not bounce and we break down? I will hedge with options. I'll buy puts, and if we trade all the way back down there, I will use the money from the puts and sold calls to buy more shares, dollar cost average myself in, and let it ride back up. I don't think Norwegian Cruise Lines is going anywhere, and it's a really, really fun place to be sometimes. Lockheed Martin. I do have a bull put spread on Lockheed Martin. I sold that the other day. The reason I sold a bull put spread is because the 100 simple moving average is at, sorry, it's above where we're at. If you adjust the chart for dividends, it doesn't change a lot, but it changes a little bit. So overall trend is still bullish. Monthly chart, we're just compressing. We're trading sideways, nothing really crazy here. And we're just out of support. So boring, yawn, nothing special. 425, 420 bull put spread for August expiration. And that's pretty much it on Lockheed Martin. VRT. This is what Nancy requested, and VRT looks like it has just been scorching the earth. Wow. Well, I missed that one. Hopefully you didn't, Nancy. Hopefully you caught it somehow. That thing is just cruising. Earnings looks like it's right around the corner. So my only thought process is if it gaps down below 24.67, that would be a very, very good bearish gap and go on the daily chart. And I would look to short that for a day trade and maybe even ultimately play it as a swing trade. If I had shares, I would get into a collar since earnings are right around the corner and it's nice and high at a previous resistance. And again, this 10 EMA, I mean, again, 16 EMA, but it was really just to show you how easy the scan is, right, team? Use scans. I use scans all the time. Scans are very effective and they can help you find tons of opportunities. And the stock market, the deals and the opportunities are always there. It's just your job to go find them. So speaking of find them, what stocks would you like me to look at for all of you tomorrow? This is what I have on the list so far, from emails, text messages, WhatsApps, Facebooks, Slacks, Discords, LinkedIn's, Twitters, Instagrams, Facebooks. Sorry, Twitter's now called X. So X's. Netflix, BFRG on the list already for tomorrow. That one's going to be fun. Mattel. All right, sweet. CXAI, ELF. Got Lucid on the list, LCID. Tesla, you know it. Yeah, I'll throw some Tesla on there. Neo, Disney, Fisker, Costco, DXCN, GPN. Bam says, have a great evening with the family. You too, Rockstar. Thanks everyone for being here. You are remarkable human beings. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. And until then, love, life, live life, and trade it. You guys rock. Bye.